Hello my friends, welcome back. Have you ever wondered where all the jokes come from? Who writes all the jokes? You know, in any group of people, you get 10 people together, whether it's at school or in a factory or a building site or a boardroom. There's always one that's the life and soul of the party, and he's always got an endless supply of gags and he's witty. And probably the other people think, well, I couldn't do that. I'm not like that. And it's a false impression, because I think that the people who do sit down and write jokes, they're usually quiet, thoughtful people, not the sort of superficial people, life and soul of the party types. But anyway, if you've ever enjoyed a joke, if you've enjoyed listening to a joke, or you've enjoyed telling a joke that you've heard, you can write your own. I'm convinced of this. It's like if people who like to gossip, they could probably write a novel if it's in them to do that. When they learn the techniques and how to do it, they could do it. So I want to show you one technique for writing a joke, which is very effective. It does work to write an original joke. And all you need is 2 clipboards. You get one of your clipboards and get not an ordinary pen, and don't use lined paper, use plain paper. Use a fat marker pen, because this denotes that you're doing something different. You're not sitting down writing a shopping list. You're going to create something, a joke. And then you pick a subject, just any subject. I've put house on here. And you put every word you can think of that connects to house. So I've got door, windows, walls, roof, bricks, gutter, and as many as you can think of. And on the other clipboard, think of another subject. I've put road, something completely unconnected. And I've put on here tarmac, white lines, cars, road signs, gutter. And as straight away you notice when you're looking at the two, there's one word in common, the gutter. So that's going to be the basis for the joke. Now the joke is, people say a joke is a setup and a punchline, but I know that it's a setup and a punchline and a moment. And the moment happens in the mind of your listener. And that's the most important thing. Just as an aside, when you try to deconstruct jokes, people say it's like dissecting a frog. Nobody cares and the frog dies. But I've often thought, well, biologists care. They want to know how the frog works and if it's all right or not. Well, it's not now, it's dead, obviously. But they want to inspect the insides of the frog. So I think if you want to be a gag writer, comedy writer, you've got to know how the comedy works. So you've got to deconstruct funny things to see why they're funny. Now, so we got the 2 words, gutter and gutter, in different context. And the joke is like 2 scenes. There's a scene that you do in the setup, and then the punchline makes you realise that the scene you were thinking of is not the real scene. And that moment of realisation, the moment, is where the humour lies. So I'm going to deconstruct a joke I wrote years and years ago about this topic. So the joke was, my dog did a poo in the gutter. And the punchline was, I don't know how it got on the roof. Not the best joke in the world, but the setup makes you think I'm walking with my dog and he has a poo in the gutter at the side of the road. But no, the punchline is that he's in the ridiculous situation that he's got on the roof and he's had a poo in the gutter on the roof. Now that moment of realisation you can manipulate. The first thought I had was just to say, I don't know how he got on the roof. But then I thought, there's better punchlines than that. You could say, my dog did a poo in the gutter. He's certainly not afraid of heights. But maybe that's not quite clear enough, and some people just wouldn't get it. They'd still be thinking of him in the road and thinking, why is he scared of heights? So the best punchline that I came up with was, my dog did a poo in the gutter. I had to climb up the ladder with the doggy bag. And then people realise the moment happens in their head that he wasn't on the road, he's on the roof, which is a ridiculous situation. And that delightful moment of reveal, the moment that they have, is where the humour happens. Now, if you do that with 2 clipboards, 2 pieces of paper, you've got one pair of words. But if you get another one, if you get another list, another completely unconnected thing, you've got 3 lists, so you've got 3 pairs of lists. When you get to 4, some magic happens, if you can remember your maths from school, because when you've got 4 lists, you've got 6 connections. If you imagine them in a square, you've got the 4 lines and the diagonals. So you get more pairs by adding up to 4. And if you go 5, 6, 7, you get an enormous number of pairs. So you can compare the pairs, if you like. And the more you've got, the more likely it is you're going to see that connection, a word that's the same or very similar. If you've got lists that include things like tailors and dentists and tattoo artists, you're going to see that needles occur in all of them. And so you can make your little story up as if it's one profession and it turns out to be another one. And the moment they realise it's the other one is the comedy moment. And you youngsters, if you really have a good sense of humour and you want to make a living out of this, you can sell jokes. You can still sell jokes. And years and years ago, I had a friend writing comedy one-liners for the BBC. I can remember one of them. I'll tell you how long ago it was. It was back when Kate Bush was big and CDs were around. Kate Bush had a CD and she had a song called Babushka at that time. It was a big hit for her. And the joke that my friend wrote was, I was at a car boot sale and I saw a Kate Bush CD on the floor and it got Babushka on it, but I wiped it off with a damp cloth. So there's the setup. You think he's talking about the song Babushka. Well, what he's really talking about is something else unmentionable. So that's the setup, punchline, and the moment that happens in your audience's head. Now, there's a rule in comedy. It's called the rule of 9. And what it means is that for every 10 gags you write, 9 of them will be not very good. But you've got to write the 10 to get to that one killer joke. It's no good writing your first one saying to somebody, what do you think of this joke? Because it won't be good. If you've written 10, you know which is the strong one. You know which is the killer one. So that's the one that you tell people, what do you think of this joke? And it might have taken a day. If you've got 10 lists, 10 of these lists, and you've compared them 1 to 2, 1 to 3, 1 to 4, 1 to 5, and then 2 to 3, 2 to 4, 2, imagine how many pairs you've got. You're going to come up with some pairs of words that are similar or identical in a different context, and that will give you the idea for the 2 scenes, the setup scene and the punchline scene. So have a go at it, by all means. If you've never done it before, just get yourself a clipboard, a piece of paper, and see what happens. No pressure to yourself. When you're writing the words, don't even think about looking for something funny. You're just writing a list of words connected with that thing, whatever area it is. And then you're looking for connections when you compare one list to another one. And you're still not looking for something funny, you're just looking for ideas. So the connections between the words spark the ideas, and then you get the idea for the setup and the punchline. And I hope you come up with some great jokes and put them in my comments for me to read and have a laugh at, and I hope you do. And if you think this little informal chat has been useful, please leave a like or subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. And also, if you think it's worth a coffee, you can now buy a coffee for me on my site. You go to my front page and it says, buy me a coffee. Click the link and it'll tell you what to do. So if you think it's worth the price of a coffee, you can buy me one. Thanks very much for watching. Have a great day. Keep laughing. See you soon.